NFL Week 15 Thursday Night Football is an NFC South affair as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers host the Atlanta Falcons. And if you're looking for what to bet, you've come to the right place. Ninja here with SI.com's Iain MacMillan, breaking down what you need to know for this game. And who better to talk Falcons football than noted Falcons fan Iain MacMillan. Hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you could be so kind. Turn those notifications on so you don't miss any of our industry-leading preview content, especially throughout a busy holiday season. Iain, your Falcons now officially eliminated from the playoffs. Raheem Morris still employed. Got no first-round pick in the draft. You can go on and on and on with what's gone on this season, but I want you to speak on behalf of all Falcons fans and just unpack the 2025 season for us.
Yeah, it went about as bad as the season possibly could have gone. A lot of high hopes for the team heading into this year. I don't think anyone, for Falcons fans, were expecting us to be Super Bowl contenders, but it was kind of like playoffs or bust for us. Injuries, a lot of close losses. I think 4 losses by less than 3 points, and then a 5th loss in overtime to the Colts, which ended up being a 6-point loss. So heartbreaking all around. And then to kind of cap it all off, Penix got hurt, and he's not going to be back until the start of next season at the earliest. So his entire offseason of development is kind of scratched too. So the Falcons are they find themselves in a similar spot as almost every team in the NFL, which is when you're just trying to find your franchise quarterback, you just go in a cycle of 1 year, you'd have hopes for the quarterback. He doesn't play well. You then blame the coach and the offensive coordinator. So you fire them, and then you bring in someone new. And then that doesn't work. So then you get rid of that quarterback. You bring in a new quarterback. Then that doesn't work. So then you blame the offensive coordinator and their head coach. And that doesn't work. So you get rid of them. And then you bring in a new. So now we are at the stage where we are blaming the offensive coordinator and the head coach for good reason. Raheem Morris has been bad. He's never been a good head coach in the NFL. Zach Robinson's not been good. He was, from the Sean McVay tree. But the offense that he's brought to Atlanta has been extremely predictable. He's married to the pistol formation for some reason, which has been proven not to work. So Falcons fans are very fed up, and the next step is now to fire our head coaches, our head coach and our offense coordinator. Now, does that mean that that's going to fix the problem and Penix going to come back from the injury next year and be the franchise quarterback? Probably not. And then next year we'll start looking for a quarterback again. So we're in the cycle. I will say this, and I think I can speak for all Falcons fans. The blessing in disguise from this season is that there's no more hope. We will not go into next season having any hopes of being a playoff team. We'll be the worst team in the NFC South probably next year. So there is something to be said for not having hope heading into a season. At least you just kind of know it is what it is.
I think I saw a stat that of the head coaches with at least 50 games in the NFL, Raheem Morris, the lowest winning percentage of that group. But yeah, it feels like it's the start or just a continuation of a vicious cycle for Atlanta. And if any of you out there are Falcons fans, let us know in the comments your thoughts on where you go from here. But with all that in mind, IMAC, how do we as bettors approach betting Falcons games the rest of the way here?
It's kind of difficult because this is kind of the issue with the Falcons team, and then why it's so frustrating as a fan, because you look at the pieces and you're like, they have guys. Why are they so bad? Why do they keep losing games? They have Bijan Robinson. Drake London being out for the past few weeks has been different. So I think especially when it comes to this game, and we'll talk about it, whether or not Drake London is going to play a big role in what side you should back. But defensively, our pass rush has been very good. Both rookie pass rushes have been great. We have AJ Terrell at corner. We have pieces. So it's God, you want to bet on them, and then you watch them play, and then they lose. I do think there is a sentiment from following people who obviously cover the Falcons that I think the locker room is imploding a little bit. I think a lot of people on the team are really sick of Raheem Morris and the coaching staff, and they don't have faith in the offensive system. Even the defense we've seen now in previous weeks fall off a little bit. So I think the weight you put behind the Falcons for the fact that they have those pieces, I think they kind of lean on that a little bit less, because I think the morale in this team is a disaster. So I think you have to kind of take that into consideration. This is a locker room that had a ton of hope heading into the season, and that hope's gone. Officially eliminated from the playoffs. Penix is not back. Kirk Cousins is horrific. So maybe just bet against them all the rest of the way.
Well, talk about that a little bit, because when I look at the team and, the games, the past few weeks at least, but more than me, like it looks like it's a lot of players in this roster that don't care or have quit on the team. And you talk about Drake London and his status and whatever, but is there someone maybe deeper down the Falcons depth charts on offense that might be worth some consideration in prop markets for this game or games from here on out? Or maybe in this game, IMAC, there's a matchup here that you think favors the Bucs and that bettors can exploit here. What do you think there?
Yeah, I think there are some names, especially because when you look at the wide receiver position, which is an issue for us, because there is no number two. Darnell Mooney's had a terrible season. He was kind of a really good number two for us last year. He's been bad all season. So even if Drake London comes back, they've been trying to get some other guys in the mix, because I do think you can kind of attack this Buccaneers defense in the secondary. So I think the Falcons will at least have some success throwing the ball in this game. So a name I'd put out there would be Dylan Drummond, who they called up recently from the practice squad. Second most receptions for the Falcons this past week against the Seahawks. The most amongst wide receivers. Darnell Mooney held to one catch. Bad. Dylan Drummond, 3 catches for 21 yards against the Seahawks this past weekend. So he's a guy that I think they like. They kept him around early in the season. They signed him to the practice squad, and now because of injuries and kind of poor play from all the receivers outside of Drake London, they promoted him. This was the week that they gave him the most work at wide receiver, and he delivered. He's he's not going to be an pro all-star guy, but he's a guy who's still young in his career, who shows some promise. Maybe not the most skilled or talented guy, but a guy who works really hard. And at this point of the season, those are the guys that you want to get some looks to see if you want to carry them over on the roster heading into next season. So Dylan Drummond and his props are going to be pretty low for this week because he's still kind of a no-name guy. But especially against this Buccaneers secondary that's, doesn't have any depth. And if Drake London does play, they're going to just focus on stopping him. Dylan Drummond is a guy, Falcons receiver, I think I'd target in the props market.
Perfect response. Absolutely what I'm looking for, especially for a team like Atlanta, given their situation. And you talk about the Buccaneers secondary, and let's talk about Tampa Bay at large here, because it's not been great for them. They've lost 4 of 5. They've lost 5 straight against the spread. So Buccaneers bettors are hemorrhaging here. They're only 1-5 against the spread at home. Mm-hmm. And the season is collapsing before our very eyes, IMAC. This is a team weeks ago, like Baker, was in the MVP conversation, etc. What has happened to this team? And are the Carolina Panthers actually going to win this division? Because as I sit here, IMAC, Tampa Bay is currently minus 300 to win the South. Carolina plus 240. And that, to me, is insane.
Yeah, just overall about the Buccaneers here first. I don't think they were nearly as good as the record was early in the year, and now they're kind of in a spot where I don't think they're as bad as people think they are either. Because actually their metrics throughout the season have stayed relatively kind of the same. When you look at DVOA, still around 14th, 15th, 16th, even right now as we speak, 17th in DVOA. Maybe they were a little bit better early in the season, but not by much. But injuries has kind of broken this Buccaneers team. Even Baker Mayfield is not the same guy as he was early in the year ever since suffering those injuries. Now, when it comes to the NFC South odds, should the Buccaneers be favored to win that division? Absolutely. They're more skilled, they're more talented, they have more experience, they have the better underlying metrics. But to your point, when you're kind of just looking at the odds itself, I think there's got to be some value on Carolina. I'm not high in this Carolina team, but they do find ways to win games. I mean, they just beat the best team in the NFL, the Rams. And now they're coming off that bye week. They're a little bit more fresh. So I'm shocked that you can still get that price point on this Panthers team with 2 games to go against the Buccaneers. They can certainly win those games. They can at least win one of them. And then if the Buccaneers still falter, the 2 other games the Buccaneers play are the Dolphins and Falcons, which they're going to be favored in that game. But they're not terrible teams. Like the Falcons could, in theory, win this game. The Dolphins could certainly beat the Buccaneers. Dolphins have won 5 straight games? So not exactly layups for the Buccaneers to close out the season either. So yeah, and if there's a coin flip, if they both had the same odds, I would take the Buccaneers. But at the current odds, I think there's some value there with Carolina. Yeah,
plus 240 as we sit here, shop around. Maybe there's even better out there. I don't know. And I hate to use the term must win, IMAC, but with Carolina, going into the new week off a bye, and both Carolina and Tampa Bay 7-6, are we in must-win territory for Tampa Bay in this game, or, and hear me out, or Can Tampa Bay just focus on beating Carolina in the 2 remaining head-to-heads that the teams do have here?
Yes, I don't think this is a must-win. This is a very important game. Don't get me wrong. They will be, if they lose this game and the Panthers beat the Saints, then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be underdogs. But it's not a must-win for sure. As long as they win both those games against the Panthers, they should be in the driver's seat, depending on what happens in each of their kind of the fourth game that they have, the Week 17 game. So, no, not a must win. Very important. Would be very nice to win, but must win should be reserved for what truly would be a must win. But if they do lose this game, probably that first game against the Panthers, probably going to be must win.
We'll get Ian's best bets for this one in a moment. But first, get Prop Professor for 50% off for the first month right now. This app drops hundreds of plus EV bets every day. Gives you a real shot at finding long-term profit. And you can sort through plays across the NFL, across college football, and many more leagues. There's got a great arbitrage tool as well. There's a fantasy optimizer, easily the best bang for buck on the market compared to its competition. Use the promo code OddShark50 at checkout and get 50% off for that first month. All right, let's get into some bets for this one. Early in the week here, we're sitting here at Tampa Bay 4.5-point home faves. I believe there are some 4s out there as well. Total of 44.5, under -115, over -105. What are you looking at for this game, iMac?
I'm going to lay the points with Tampa Bay in this one. I'll say I don't love this bet. I don't really love anything about this game because the Falcons are such a wild card. But I'm going to lay the points with the Buccaneers. We talked about how the secondary for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers isn't bad. They're gettable, but I just don't trust Kirk Cousins to be able to take advantage of that. My favorite stat when evaluating quarterbacks is called EPA plus CPOE, which combines expected points added and completion percentage over expected. When you look at quarterbacks who have thrown the ball at least 150 times this season, there are 42 of them in the NFL. 42nd, JJ McCarthy. 41st, Dylan Gabriel. 40th, Kirk Cousins. He ranks worse than Justin Fields, Davis Mills, Cam Ward, Geno Smith, Tyler Shuck, Russell Wilson. Like, he has been just terrible. He's washed, he's old, and we still don't know if Drake London's going to play this weekend. Even if he does, I don't know how much that's going to help this Falcons offense. So I just don't know if the Falcons have the ability to take advantage of the biggest weakness the Buccaneers have. So yeah, I'm going to lay the points to the Buccaneers. I also think it's a pretty decent buy low spot after they just lost outright to the Saints. And if you want to prop bet, if Kirk Cousins to throw an interception, -122, the book I'm looking at right now, that's crazy. Like I said, those completion percentage over expected numbers and EPA numbers amongst the worst in the NFL. I'm shocked that for Kirk Cousins to throw an interception is only -122. In my opinion, that should be like -175. So Buccaneers to win and cover at home. Kirk Cousins to throw an interception are going to be my two best bets for Thursday Night Football.